Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. We would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Neutral peoples. I'm still not sure if I've got that right, but I hopefully will get better at it. Confirmation of the agenda. The motion is that the agenda for the regular meeting of council dated January 4th, 2022 be adopted as circulated with the following amendment. Item 16.4, bylaw 4 of 2022, authorize the borrowing of money to meet current expenditures of the council of the municipality of Huron East. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the deputy mayor, second by Councillor McClellan. All those in favor? And motion carries. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any member of council this evening? Seeing none at this time. Minutes of the previous meetings. I need a motion that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the following council meeting minutes as printed and circulated. And that is the public meeting of December 21st of 2021, the public hearing of December 21st of 2021, and the regular meeting of December 21st of 2021. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. Number 6, we are at public meetings, hearings, and delegations. And I need a motion that the council of the municipality of Huron East adjourn the regular meeting of council at 7:02 p.m. to go into a public hearing to discuss the following. A minor variance application, MV 07-2021 by Walter Melnick on Plan 394, lots 56 and 57, Seaforth Ward, known as 71 Louisa Street. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. And now that we're in a public meeting, I need a motion to adopt the agenda for the public hearing, and that is that the agenda for the public hearing of Committee of Adjustment dated January 4th of 2022 be adopted as circulated. Any comments or questions on the agenda? All those in favor? And motion carries. And I go to the clerk now.
Okay, so this application was received from Walter Melnick on Plan 394, lots 56 and 57 in Seaforth Road, known as 71 Louisa Street. The proposed variances are to reduce the exterior side yard setback from 6 meters to 3 meters, reduce the rear yard setback from 10 meters to 8 meters, and to increase the maximum number of residential units from 4 to 6. The purpose of this application is to seek relief from zoning bylaw 52, 2006 for the municipality of Huron East. The property is subject to this variance is zoned residential medium density R2 on key map 64 of the Huron East zoning bylaw and designated residential in the Huron East official plan. The purpose of the application is to permit a reduced side yard setback from Huron Street, a reduced yard setback, and to increase the maximum number of residential units from 4 to 6 for 2 proposed additions to the existing residential fourplex. The new single-story additions are proposed to be located on each side of the existing building and to contain 1 2-bedroom unit per addition with an attached garage. A notice of this Committee of Adjustment public hearing has been circulated to all government agencies and adjoining property owners as provided by the legislation, and replies have been received from neighboring residents. The application was previously presented to the Committee of Adjustment at the September 21st, 2021 public hearing, where it was then deferred to allow for a further review of site issues and to address concerns. So I can now turn this over to Laura Simpson.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. I'll share my screen because I do have a PowerPoint to accompany tonight. Okay, and hopefully council can see the cover page for my minor variance application. So as Jessica mentioned, this is for minor variance application MV 07-21 for 71 Louisa Street. And this has previously been presented to council, as she mentioned, back in September. At the time there, it was deferred to allow for the concerns raised during the public meeting by the tenants and some of the neighboring landowners to be reviewed by staff, as well as see if they could be addressed through a revision to the site plan and proposed development by the developer as well. So to review the variances that are being requested, it is to allow for 2 additional residential units to be added to the existing fourplex that's on the property, 1 to the south side and 1 to the north. So 1 from each side. Currently, the existing building that's on there does have 4 units, 2 in the upper floors and 2 in the lower floors. And then the property itself is zoned R2 residential medium density. The variances are to reduce the exterior side yard from 6 to 3 meters. So this would be the exterior side yard that abuts Huron Street, and to reduce the rear yard from 10 to 8 meters. And this would be to accommodate the 2 proposed additions that would be going closer to the rear yard than the existing building. It also proposes the variance of increasing the maximum number of permitted units in the R2 zone from 4 to 6, and then the site would contain 6 overall. This first slide here is an aerial photo from 2020 of the existing subject property, showing the parking as it currently is, 2 accessory buildings in the rear yard for the tenants' use, and then the existing fourplex. There is a small landscaping buffer along the southern lot line, so that would be the exterior lot line along Huron Street on the subject property. And then currently there is no structures in the north or south where the proposed additions are to be located. So reviewing this application, it was reviewed against the 4 tests of a minor variance, as there are several variances being sought for this property. Before I go to that, I'll go to this next slide just so that council can see the proposed site plan. This shows the existing fourplex as well as the 2 new additions. So it's about a 1,200 square foot addition proposed on both the north and south. The site plan has been revised since the original proposal that was presented at the September meeting to show a more comprehensive site plan. For example, the property is a corner lot at Louisa and Huron Street, so it was reflected to show that there's no parking or driveway to be located in the site triangle, as that's required for a corner property, and as well to show the applicable setbacks. There has been other revisions that I'll address that was proposed by the site designer as well in an attempt to address some of the concerns or provide clarification on the site design and how it would work for the existing tenants as well as the proposed additions. The first test of the minor variance application was if it meets the intent of the Huron East official plan. As mentioned, the subject property is designated residential in the Huron East official plan and is within the primary settlement area of Seaforth. So it is a medium residential density with the 4 units. And the official plan does contain policies for residential development in an urban settlement area such as Seaforth that guides the development of settlements in a manner consisting with existing roles, characters, and levels of servicing. So an area such as Seaforth is identified as a primary location for growth and development, and where intensification is encouraged based on available water and municipal servicing. Intensification is where a site is used to its full capacity and efficiency of providing residential units. This could also include as well utilizing infill lots or increasing the density on underdeveloped sites. The application to increase the number of residential units on this subject property to 6 meets the intent of the policies and the encouragement for intensification that does exist in the Huron East official plan, as it would increase the efficiency of the land and services, and also would continue to provide a mix of housing choices to meet the varying housing needs of the community. This would increase the availability of rental housing stock that's available in Seaforth as well. The maximum of the 6 residential units was actually part of a previous housekeeping amendment to the official plan that amended the definition of medium density residential and the applicable policies for medium and high density residential that does permit a maximum of 6 residential units rather than it previously permitting 4. The change to the official plan policies reflected the current housing demand and to encourage more efficient residential use where applicable on municipally serviced lands, particularly in an area such as Seaforth that does have the benefit of municipal water and sewer. This application does propose to increase the residential density of the existing property via intensification, meets the intent of the official plan. The second test is if it meets the intent of the Huron East zoning bylaw. So section 19.7 is a specific portion of the zoning bylaw that was reviewed for this proposed development. And it does currently permit a maximum number of 4 residential units per building in the R2 zone. And as mentioned, the exterior side yard is 6 meters and the rear yard for a structure is 10. The application seeks relief for 2 of the setbacks for the proposed expansion to the building, as well as adding the 2 additional units that would exceed it for 4. The changes in those official plan policies that now permit 6 units for a medium density residential zone has not yet been reflected or updated in the Huron East zoning bylaw. So that's why that variance is requested, but it is permitted as per the enacting official plan policies. The proposed building plans for the 2 building additions meet the other applicable provisions in section 19 regarding the front and interior setbacks. So that would be the frontage along Louisa Street. The building will maintain its minimum frontage and setback along there, as well as the addition on the north portion of the property will still maintain the minimum setback to the neighboring property to the north as well. That's not requesting a reduction. And considering the larger footprint of the 2-bedroom unit, it is proposed to be a single-story structure for each addition, and the existing lot can continue to accommodate multiple units while satisfying the other setbacks and providing still green space in the forms of courtyards and rear yards for the property. So it does meet the intent of the Huron East zoning bylaw. I'll go on to the other tests, but before I'll show some slides that show the photos of the subject property. So this was taken earlier this year, back in September, of standing on Louisa Street, looking at the front portion of the subject property. So you can see the doors to the existing 4 units, as well as some of the available parking space that's in front of the existing building. And this is taken standing more or less at the corner of Huron and Louisa Street, looking at the exterior side yard, and as well as one of the accessory buildings that's in the backyard of the property. So you can see the landscaping planting buffer that's there against the industrial use that's across the road on the other side of Huron Street to the south, and then as well the side yard. So this would be proposed to be reduced in its setback for the addition as well. And this also shows the corner that has the site triangle located, which would also need to be kept clear of driveway or parking areas as well to maintain clear sight lines should Huron Street be developed further to the west. The third test is if it's appropriate for the desirable development of the lands in question. So as mentioned, it is within the settlement area and part of an established residential neighborhood, both further along Louisa Street and then further east of the subject property, there are residential land uses. And it is being a corner lot abutting the 2 municipal streets. The existing fourplex establishes a medium residential density that provides rental units to the available housing stock, and it seeks relief to add the 2 new additional units to be constructed and increase the rental units available and different style of rental units, proposing alternatively to add this single story more accessible with attached parking in the form of an attached garage versus the 2 units that are above each other, creating 4 overall in the existing building. There is an abutting industrial use to the south of the subject lands, but there is an established residential use on both the subject lands, both sides of Louisa Street and further west along Huron Street, and they do not further limit the industrial operations. They have taken through site design the industrial use into design considerations for the units, particularly the southern addition, and minimized features like windows that directly face the industrial property. The revisions to the site plan to accommodate on-site parking and site restrictions has produced a version most compatible with the Huron East zoning bylaw. The existing fourplex is situated at a close setback to Louisa Street. It still satisfies the minimum setback of 6 meters, which does still limit the on-site parking areas and leaves a large portion of the property underdeveloped, where additional residential units could be accommodated and provided while still maintaining a medium level of density. With that 6 number of units is still within the new revised definition of medium density. Utilizing an underdeveloped parcel of serviced residential land to add intensification and additional residential units to the housing demand are considered an appropriate expansion of the existing residential use on the subject property. So this next slide that I pulled up are the proposed elevations. So that shows the west and east elevations of the property, both looking at from Louisa Street and then the rear yard of the subject property. The fourth test is if the relief sought for the new additions, if it's minor in nature. So it is to reduce the rear yard by 2 meters, the exterior side yard by 3, and to permit the 2 additional residential units, exceeding the number of 4 as per section 19.7. These requests for the reduction in setbacks and higher residential numbers of units to provide single residential units is considered minor in nature and appropriate for the development of the property and the surrounding residential land uses. The proposed building is able to satisfy the other applicable zoning provisions, and the single-story additions are similar in scale to other residential structures along Louisa Street. The reduction in the building setbacks still maintain an open yard space for the existing tenants at the rear of the property, and the existing landscaping along the exterior side provides a planting strip buffer from the neighboring industry. These are 2 additional photos that I took more recently of the subject property to show the rear portion and the existing access to the lower units. So the stairs that currently exist there now, these would be proposed to be altered to provide better access if the additions are granted, as well as the decks. And a revision through that is also that the decks would have stairs provided for direct access to the rear yard. So as mentioned, there were several comments received at the September 2021 public hearing. So there were several members of the neighborhood as well as some of the tenants in attendance there and submitted oral comments at the meeting. These concerns included parking issues, how access would be limited to the rear of the property for the tenants, drainage concerns and access via stairs, and the location of the building to shared lot lines. There was also concerns raised by neighboring landowners about its proximity to the industrial use and an impact on the neighboring property owners as well. The revisions to the site plan were also reviewed with the manager of public works, specifically concerning access onto Louisa Street and prohibiting that anything was located within the site triangle to mean adequate sight lines, as it is a corner lot and not impacting access onto the road. The revised site plan shows the 2 drawings providing on-site parking using tandem and side-by-side parking, as the depth of the space available in front of the existing building is limited due to its proximity to Louisa Street. And the revisions took into consideration the limitation of the site triangle, as well as there's actually an existing pole on the northern limit of the property, which does limit how close to the northern lot line the driveway could go. To address access for the existing units, the revised drawing more accurately shows the reconfiguration of the exterior stairs for the lower units and has added stairs to the backyard from the raised decks for the upper units. And for on-site drainage, their rainwater downspout locations were added to the revised drawing, and water will be directed to the new east trough and then to the downspout locations located further away from the existing fourplex. So the proposed addition will also satisfy the minimum interior side yard setback of 3 meters to the shared lot line to the north, as this was also raised as a concern at that meeting. So in conclusion, the application does propose to expand an existing multi-unit residential unit and increase the density to permit 6 total units. This will contribute to rental housing stock and increase density on a large existing residential property, which could be considered underutilized based on its proximity to an urban area, as well as available services through municipal water and sewer. The proposed additions and requested variances will locate the units to the north and south, closer to the interior and exterior side yard, and require additional parking. The property does have multiple existing driveways, and being a corner parcel with fire hydrant and site triangle to maintain does have challenges prevented to accommodate an increase in the building footprint and satisfy parking, but the proposed revisions to the site plan proposed to address the concerns raised and meet the parking requirements of the zoning bylaw, requiring no further reduction in the variances being requested. It is striving to officially use a residential property that could provide additional housing units in an urban area. And in light of it, I am recommending for it to be approved with the conditions that are being proposed to be attached as well before council tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Laura. At this time, I will go to council for any comments that they have or questions on the property. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Laura, please. What, there's 4 units there now. So that means there's 8 parking spots provided on the existing building?
Yes, the tenants have indicated there were 2 available for each unit.
And are they, obviously they are in the front of the building, are they 8 across the horizontal or are they 2 vertical?
I believe there's 3 across the front. The driveways are currently in width for 3 across the front, and then there is some tandem parking where they park behind each other.
Okay, then the 2 new units are going to have a garage. And then there's room for a second vehicle in front of the garage?
Yes, so the garages would be set further back than the existing building and allow a 1 parking space in front of each.
So there's virtually no green space in front of this building at all then?
There's just the small courtyards as the front door is set further back than the garage.
No, the existing building and the two new additions, there would be very, very limited green space in front.
There's not much. Currently, there's the green space kind of on either side of the building, and then a larger part because in between the 2 driveways that exist now, and all of all 4 front doors. And the north and south green space would be reduced if the additions are there, since that would take more driveway space.
Yeah, so when the existing buildings want to go outside, everything is out behind then, right?
Yes, the green space would be located to the rear. There's just the 3 meters along the each side of the expansion.
Okay.
To the lot line, that would be green.
So how does these 2 new units impact the backyards for the 4 existing units, or do they?
So the backyards would be reduced because the units go back further into the rear yard than the existing building. So it creates almost like 2 wings on either side of the building. So it would take away the portions of the rear yard that are kind of on the north and south of this property and create narrower green spaces in the rear yards. Right, kind of enclosing, I guess, on either side of the existing building.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Chartrand.
Yes, I've been out to the lot a couple of times on my morning walks, and there's lots of room, lots of green space, Bob, in the backyard. It's got a huge backyard. I was happy to see that the number of revisions that were made as a result of complaints. So that's a good thing. And we're always trying to increase the density of housing. So I'm all for this project.
Are there any other questions or comments from members of council at this time? Councillor Steffler.
Yes, on the south side of this building, that's where all the air conditioning units are and all that now. Where's this new building going to be with these air conditioning units and all that? Is it behind it, in front of it? If it goes behind it, it'll block off 1 window for sure.
So for you, Mr. Mayor, so the existing air conditioner units are still shown to be located on the sides of the existing buildings. So the existing air conditioning units would remain where they are, shown in the sketch. And then the proposed air conditioning units, I imagine, will be located in both the interior and the exterior, so in the side yards of the units as well.
So the new building, Laura, will be behind the existing air conditioning units?
Or beside the two additions. So within the 3-meter setback for either side of the addition, and locating the AC unit in those side yards. So beside the new additions on the north and south.
Yeah, I can see a big parking problem here with the existing properties, people that are there now. So I don't think it's a good idea to do these 2 minor variances right at this time. I don't think there's enough space.
There's lots of space.
Okay, one person at a time, please. And is there any other comments from members of council at this time? Okay, seeing none, then I will ask, I will go to members of the public other than the applicant that wish to make any comments at this time. I don't see anybody. Is there anybody that you're aware of, Jessica, that wanted to speak from the members of the public?
Actually, can you hear me at all?
Oh, yes, I can now.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So my name's Joanne Gradanis, and I live just 2 doors down from this proposed additions going on. Where I live now, obviously, I have a duplex across from me. I have a duplex beside me. I've got obviously a fourplex pretty much almost right across the road from me. There are times where I'm trying to back out of my laneway already, and when there's cars parked on both sides of the road, it's really hard to see, and we've almost been hit a couple times just with the amount of parking and with people visiting. To add 2 more units on where there's not going to be any parking behind them, with these 2 new units going on, that's going to add more traffic on the street again. So that's my biggest concern at this point, is for me is parking.
Okay. Is there any other comments from members of the public at this time? Okay, I'm not hearing any other ones. I don't see anybody indicating. I'll just check this other screen here. Nope. Okay, then at this time, if the applicant is available or an agent for the applicant, do they have any comments they would like to make at this time?
I don't see the applicant's name, didn't come in as their name. I'm not sure if they're one of the phone numbers in the meeting, but I don't see the actual applicant here in the meeting.
Okay, Laura, you have a comment?
I do see that Brian Curra, the project manager, is here.
You hear me now? I finally got unmuted.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just not used to this here. So, well, first off, I want to thank the people that, send in their concerns, because, they're, and I'm not trying to set that they're light, but these concerns have been brought to us, and they're minor in nature. I think there's quite, now that we're aware of them, we can incorporate some of that into the design, but they're really small in nature. Parking is, you have mentioned, is a concern, is what I'm hearing, but I mean, I believe we've met the requirements. I believe the parking, the way that we have it laid out, will provide sufficient parking for the units. I don't see that being an issue. I think we've improved it, in all honesty. But, by also adding 2 additional units, which are, needed, for the area, and it does suit the use of the property. But as I say, I believe that with adding these units and adding the way we have the parking laid out, I believe that it will suit. And it's better than what was really there before. It's been addressed now. So, but the other concerns, I read the concerns that, everybody had stressed through it in their letters that they sent in, and they're all minor in nature. And, we will definitely take them into consideration.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Now, I think some members of the public were having a little trouble getting on. I do see a hand raised here from Amanda, so I would like to give her an opportunity to speak.
Hi, it's actually Linda Pullman. Amanda's my daughter, and I'm using her phone.
Okay.
So, I heard what you said about the parking, and truthfully, to park 2 vehicles from the road in front of our front doors, you have to be parked right up against the cement in order to get another vehicle behind, so you're not on the road. It maybe doesn't look like that, but that is the way it is. I wish I'd taken a picture the other day when that was taking place. We can park 3 across, but we are almost door to door when we do that. And we do that because my husband owns his own business, has a truck and a trailer, and he will not be able to park that in this parking lot because he will be always in the new tenant's home area in which to park. The other thing I totally don't think anybody understands is that the air conditioning and stuff on the side of the building is going to be right where the new tenants or the new additions doorway is, right in front of their front door. And these air conditioning units and all of our vents for when we're drying, our clothes are all right there. They're going to have that going right at their front door at all times, summer and winter. I don't know that some of you guys have never been here to park to visit us. I would encourage you to come and try parking here, even tonight. Not a problem. We'd welcome you because the parking is an issue. And if they have to come out of the new building and then turn back around, so they have to come into our parking spots almost to get onto the road, there is going to be an accident. And it's going to be our vehicles. And most of the people in this building are seniors. And we have one family that has young children. And whoever we get as new neighbors may not appreciate the young children playing out in the backyard like we do. So hopefully this maybe explains a little bit why we're a little upset. And we have I appreciate the fact of getting steps at the back, but we can't even get our front driveway paved to keep the dirt out of our homes. So please think of these things before you agree to this. Truthfully, parking on paper looks awesome. Parking in our area is not the same thing. I hope this answers a few questions. And if you have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Are there any other comments at this time? Did I miss another member of the public? Okay.
Can I make a comment back on that?
Yeah.
It's Brian Fur with Melvin.
Yeah.
I heard the lady's concerns, and once again, like I noticed it was in the comments from the original meeting, I think back in September, about a trailer and truck if they could accommodate that. that's something that we will look into. As I say, it's something that we can possibly do. I'm not sure that the owner wants to do it. Like, I don't know this trailer, if it's a business trailer. I know he had mentioned that he likes to see a residential effect, and if it's a commercial trailer, I know it would be something unfavorable. But as I say, if he's allowed it before, I'm sure he will look at addressing it now for him. Your comment on you can't get your parking paved. I don't know why it wasn't paved originally. I know that he's talked about doing that this time round once the additions go ahead, because he said the same thing. He said gravel, it tracks things in. He said it's always a concern. The snow plows are always moving it. So he says, we'll look at asphalting it this time. But why it wasn't done originally, I mean, I can't speak for Mr. Melnick, but it was something that was being addressed this time. In terms of your parking, you can actually, once again, I don't know why you're saying you can't put gang parking in front of the entrance pads. According to design standards, parking requirements, the residential leases, everyone's to have 2 parking spaces. Mr. Melnick mentioned that to me today, that he should look into that, because he didn't recall it, but nonetheless, he said, let's try and give them to. Everybody has 2 cars. So he's trying to address these issues, and I think that with some minor changes, working these into the final design, I think we can make it the parking a little more attractive. One of the items that, if you look at their site plan that Laura showed you earlier tonight, it shows where the debris bin, the garbage bins. I put it where it is now. I'm thinking, and I mentioned it to Walter, we should be relocating it and making more room for the parking so people can get around. However, I do know that, a lot of people want it just outside their door. The other item that I want to address, and I don't understand, there was some mention earlier that a window will be closed off. If you look at your site plan, no windows on the existing building will be closed. We start our addition just past that window. We're going to address the design of that window so that privacy is maintained. We put either a poly or a metal screening, allows light in. You put it on standoff so it allows airflow, but it provides privacy. The last issue, the 2 air conditioner condensers will be relocated up. We will also clean up some of the venting, and the new air conditioning condensers will be going on the outside of the new addition against the side yards. So I don't see an issue with any of that. You mentioned that it was mentioned that these air conditioners are right at your front door. They are 15 feet and 12 feet away from the door at this present time, and we can move them further. I've just shown them on the plan where I believe they are, but I believe we're going to be moving them further away. It just makes sense to do it. If you're going to put a courtyard in, we want to try and clean it up. Thanks very much. That's all I had to say.
Okay, so at this point, we certainly are supposed to be done, all the comments from the applicant and from the public member. I had already gone past council, but Councillor On, you had raised your hand. Did you have a question? No? Okay, that's fine then. And at this point, I need a motion from council, and that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East, acting as Committee of Adjustment, has held a public meeting pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act 1990 with respect to minor variance application MV 07-2021 Whereas comments from the public were received from neighboring residents in regards to parking, water runoff, lack of natural lighting for the neighbors' privacy and noise concerns. And whereas agency comments were received at the public hearing on September 21st of 2021, now therefore the Committee of Adjustment approves the minor variance application MV 07-2021 by Walter Melnick on Plan 394, lots 56 and 57, Seaforth Ward, to permit the following variance from Bylaw 52 of 2006. 1, to reduce the exterior side yard setback from 6 meters to 3 meters, reduce the rear yard setback from 10 meters to 8 meters, and increase the maximum number of residential units from 4 to 6. 2, and that the variance approved be valid for a period of 18 months from the date of the committee's decision. 3, and that the structure be located within the footprint contained on the sketch that accompanied the application. And 4, further that the structure be as shown in the elevation drawings that accompanied the application. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the motion? Moved by Councillor Chartrand, second by Councillor McClellan. Any further comments or questions of council on the motion itself? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Sorry, Bernie, I think we just need to do a recorded vote on these ones since we're in Committee of Adjustment. Sorry.
Yes, sorry about that. So it will be a recorded vote. So Jessica will read out the names and please answer yay or nay.
Okay, so I'll just start with Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councillor Dalton. I'm sorry, you were muted, Councillor Dalton.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Deal.
Yes.
Councillor Willoughby.
Yes.
Councillor Steffler.
No,
Councillor McGrath.
Yes.
Councillor Chartrand.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fisher.
Yes.
Councillor On.
Yes.
And Councillor McClellan.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that would be 9 yeas and 1 nay. And that is passed.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go back to my other paperwork here.
All right, I understand.
Okay, and I need a motion that the public hearing for the Committee of Adjustment be closed at 7:43 p.m. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Wilby, and all those in favor. And motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for your reporting there, Laura. I presume you're sticking around to the end. Number 7, we have nothing under accounts payable this week. Number 8, reports and recommendations of municipal officers, and I will go to the CAO.
Thanks, Your Worship. This is a site plan control agreement for Premier Concrete. It's located at the end of Brantford Street within an area that's already zoned industrial. What they're proposing to do is remove 2 vinyl structures on concrete footings and erect a roughly about 2,000 square foot steel clad building in the same general location. Previous development of the property preceded the establishment of our site plan control bylaw, hence why we're bringing forward at this time. The property also has about 1,000 square meter, pardon me, existing steel clad shop that will remain. Other than that, the property is owned by an Ontario Inc. Corporation, but operated as Premier Concrete Inc. And so the agreement that's provided in the bylaw includes both names, both parties, for purposes of registering the agreement on title should council pass the bylaw. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I will read the motion first, get a mover and a seconder, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East approved a bylaw for a site plan control agreement between the Municipality of Huron East, 1788023 Ontario Inc. and Premier Concrete Inc. for for development located at 131 Brantford Street, Seaforth, Ontario. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Steffler, second by Deputy Mayor. Any comments or questions for the CAO or on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder that the Huron East Council receive the following reports of the municipal officers as presented, and that was the report from the CAO. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, second by Councillor Deal. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. Under correspondence, Town of South Frontenac.
Now, this is another one of those correspondence from South Frontenac. It's relating again to that joint and several liability, and it's just looking to again advocate that joint and several liability be removed and move forward. But and if just for council and maybe the public that are in attendance, joint and several liability means that any party that's named has a fault to a certain situation can be held 100% liable for any of the situation, regardless of the percentage of fault. So that's why some of our insurance rates, particularly municipal insurance rates, are so high. What happens is courts are basically ruling the fact that municipalities have big pockets and therefore they pay a large portion of the claims on faults, whether or not the municipality had a large percentage of fault or not. So I would recommend that council support this resolution or this motion.
I'll read the motion here in a second, but it's interesting that they point out the fact that the Ontario government has always stated that they needed to make sure that somebody was there to pay the bill, and they've addressed that in their motion, but not stating who should still be paying the bill. So the motion is that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East support the resolution of the Township of South Frontenac requesting a review of the law to ensure a fair and reasonable way to ensure those who suffer losses are made whole while preventing a further scaling back of public services owing to the excessive insurance costs that result from joint and several liability. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Steffler, second by Councillor Dalton. Any other questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. I don't think we're dealing with anything under unfinished business this evening. Nothing under municipal drains, and we are back down to planning. Application of Baker Group. So I believe this goes back to Laura.
Yes, so I do have another screen to share for tonight's severance application. Okay. So tonight's severance application is C101-2021. So it's for the subject property at 42990 Front Road, the Seaforth Golf Course. The applicant on behalf of the Seaforth Golf Course 1996 Limited is Caroline Baker of Caroline Baker Planning Group. And the purpose of this application tonight for council's consideration is to sever a vacant parcel from the Seaforth Golf Course for future development and the long-term financial planning of the owner operating the golf course. The long-term consideration of the severed parcel is the redevelopment of the land for a residential condominium development to provide accessible housing for older adults. The area proposed to be severed from the golf course is approximately 7.4 acres and is designated recreational and is currently zoned RC1, the golf course zone in the Huron East zoning bylaw. The retained area would be 91.9 acres, also designated recreational with a portion designated natural environment, and also zoned the golf course zone, as well as that portion in the northern portion zoned NE2, natural environment limited protection. The Land that would be proposed to be severed is vacant with a portion of the existing golf course, and then the area to be retained would contain the remainder of the golf course and any of the existing structures, including the accessory building and parking areas as well. Both properties would maintain their frontage along Front Road, and including the retained would have approximately 84 meters of frontage along Front Road there. This next slide is an aerial of the subject property to show the severed and retained areas. The severed area is outlined in red to show the frontage along Front Road, and then the remainder is outlined in green there, which would contain the majority of the portion extending to the northern limit of the subject property. This next slide is an aerial photo of the subject area subject to severance, the approximate 7 acres that's proposed to be removed from the golf course on the east side of McPherson Ave and south of Doak Drive, and with the frontage along Front Road. And that's a close-up there of the 2020 aerial photo. As mentioned, the subject property is zoned recreation and natural environment in the Huron East official plan, and it is located adjacent to the urban area of Seaforth. So it does not have the urban area extending over to the subject property. It ends at the plan of condominium bridges development. The application does not impact or affect the natural environment designation that exists on the subject property. In the Huron East official plan, there is a specific section, section 7, that discusses recreational policies for land uses in the municipality of Huron East. And it specifically recognizes the Seaforth Golf Course as an existing recreational land use in the municipality and permits it to continue. The policies there do discourage new recreational development in prime agricultural areas, which this application does not propose to do. Rather, it will maintain the same acreage and land use for the golf course operation with 2 separate parcels of ownership. So the applicant is proposing that in the interim, prior to any future planning development, this would maintain its operation as part of the golf course, but operate as a separately owned parcel. The policies contain criteria for sufficient servicing for new expanded recreational land uses, but this application does not propose to expand or alter the existing use of the golf course, which currently relies on a private septic system for its servicing needs. Future land changes to the subject lands would be reviewed for obtaining adequate and satisfactory servicing, dependent on the density and uses that are being proposed for the subject lands. In the land division section of the Huron East official plan, there is a specific section for land division policies, so severances on lands that are designated recreational. These include that the area proposed to be severed must be suitable for recreational use and already designated recreational or available to be changed to a recreational designation. And the general consent policies in the land division section of the Huron East official plan contain criteria that both the severed and retained parcels do front onto a public road. The lots proposed by this consent application will maintain the frontage along Front Road, and the owner also obtained a legal opinion regarding continuing to use the legal right-of-way that was established over McPherson Avenue in favor of the Seaforth Golf Course. So this application does conform to the Huron East official plan and its consent policies for a severance on recreational lands, as well as the general policies for land division in section 10 of the Huron East official plan. This next slide is a survey submitted with the application to show kind of the approximate area of the land to be severed, as well as the retained land and its proximity to the plan of condominium that abuts this property within the urban area of Seaforth to the west. For the review against the Huron East zoning bylaw, the creation of the proposed RC1 parcel, so that would be the golf course zone, does meet the minimum lot requirements for a recreational zoned lot to permit a golf course, including lot area, depth, and frontage. The retained lands will also maintain sufficient area and frontage along Front Road, and both properties will have access via legally established right-of-way for the golf course. The continued use of the lands for the golf course is permitted within the RC1 zone, and the proposed future residential development would be reviewed and assessed with the appropriate criteria for future zoning amendment and also official plan amendment and other applicable applications at that time. We did receive comments from several members of the public during circulation of this application, requesting more information about the future intent of the severed lands and identifying some concerns. Residents of the abutting Bridges of Seaforth community submitted comments, one inquiring for more details of the proposed future development, specifically the types of housing and what access would be provided, and one inquiring for a more detailed map of the severed lands, and was supplied with an aerial photo showing the boundary of the proposed severed area. A conversation was held with another resident over the circulation requirements of a planning application to a plan of condominium development that contained common elements and who was responsible for distributing the circulation to owners within the condominium. It was clarified the owners of the assessed property within the circulation distance are circulated to, and in any instant of a common element or other portion of property owned by a condo corporation or association or a property management company, that company received the circulated materials and was responsible for distributing them. A request was also received from the board of directors for the Bridges of Seaforth for the circulated materials so they can be forwarded to the residents. Comments received from a neighboring farm landowner did not have objection to the severance, but did not want zoning or restrictions applied to their property via the severance. And an objection was received to the severance application with the concern that the severance to split or divide land from the golf course for future residential development would be would have a negative impact on the area, including an impact on the beauty and green space of the existing area of the golf course. In conclusion, the proposal to create a new recreational land piece separate from the remainder of the golf course, with consideration that future planning applications will be required to propose any new development or land use change, does meet the policies within the Huron East official plan for severance on recreational lands outside of an urban area and the general consent policy. So it is in compliance with those, and it also meets the zoning RC1 zone as well and its minimum areas. So it is recommended for approval, to be recommended to Huron County Council for approval with the conditions that are listed in this last slide here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Laura. I will read the motion at this time, and that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East acknowledge the report of Huron County Planner Laura Simpson dated December 24th of 2021 and has no objection to the severance application C 101-21 of Baker Planning Group for concession to part lots 8 and 9 Tuckersmith Ward, provided the following conditions are met. 1, that $750 be paid to the municipality as cash in lieu of parkland. 2, that the subject parcel be numbered and addressed for 911 purposes to the satisfaction of the municipality. 3, that a survey showing the lot lines of the severed parcel easement and the location of any buildings thereon be provided to the satisfaction of the municipality. 4, that a reference plan based on an approved survey be provided to the satisfaction of the municipality. 5, and that Section 65 of the Drainage Act be addressed to the satisfaction of the municipality. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the motion, please? Moved by Councillor Steffler, second by Councillor Deal. Comments or questions from members of council? Councillor Chartrand.
Yes, through you to Laura. I had a number of calls of a couple of constituents that live in the Bridges area, and help me understand. I'm being told that McPherson Avenue is owned by the Bridges subdivision and that they allow traffic to go into the golf course off that road. Is the intention for the new subdivision for all of the traffic to use McPherson Road to get into the development, or are they going to use the old entrance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Chartrand. So yes, it was established that the golf course does have access over McPherson Ave. And then one of the proposed layouts would utilize McPherson Ave with continued access, but there is also the potential for a singular access via an interior road onto Front Road as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's an agreement with the Bridges on the access of McPherson Road.
Yes, there was a right-of-way established in favor of the golf course on McPherson for their access.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This just gave me a second question to Laura then. the Doigs will not own this piece of property, it won't be part of the golf course, then can they use McPherson?
So yes, the legal opinion that they obtained was that it was still in favor and they could still be provided access as well through that. So if that were also required naming, if there was a new party to be named, that would be determined that it needed sufficient naming. So for example, if it was transferred from the Doigs to a new party, that would be
Grandfather.
Yeah, or confirmed if there needed to be a name in the right of way change.
Okay, my question was, what is section 65 of the Drainage Act, please?
Yes, so that's if a property is being separated or split, it's a change in any assessment to the drain. So if there's a new owner, they're having their new property assessed to the drain.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Councillor McClellan, did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Councillor Chartrand?
Yes, Laura, the intention for sewers for this area, I know 15 years ago, the Bridges made an agreement with the municipality to be able to service 250 homes. But that's the Bridges. How does this subdivision plan on, are they going to be putting in septic, or are they going to be approaching the municipality for access? Because that's more usage on our system.
Yes, so through you again, Mr. Mayor. Yes, they would be required to be developed on sanitary services. So they would require an extension of municipal sewers rather than being developed on septic. So they would require that to ensure there is available capacity for the proposed development for residential at the density they would be proposing for a condominium, and that it can be brought down to service the land as well.
Well, I bring it up because we're, on the Sewer and Water Committee, we talk about what we've already promised for future usage, such as the 250 homes at the Bridges, pole, and then the new school subdivision area. So I think it's something that we're going to have to take a look at in our sewer and water meeting for capacity.
Okay, so that the comment's correct, although it's kind of the cart before the horse, because we're not granting any access to it at this point. And until we actually have a site plan request and number of houses, we don't know what the load is actually going to be. But the comment's correct in the fact that it would have to be reviewed by the committee.
I bring it up. I realize if there was an issue and I'm the developer and I know that I can't get into the sewer system, I might not think about developing it. So I don't know if it's the cart before the horse, but it's something that we should be talking about for sure.
Okay, are there any other questions of members of council? Okay, seeing none, I do have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. All right. Council member reports. Mr. Deputy Mayor, do you have anything about County Council other than the joyous meeting of tomorrow?
We're going to be much wiser tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Mayor, much wiser. Yes, I neglected last meeting we haven't had a county council meeting, just the way the calendar has fallen, but I neglected to mention that we had a integrity meeting, a 3.5 hour meeting discussion. And what I got out of it, and Bernie, you could give your input too. I think that if you have any doubt in your mind, fellow councillors, if something is pecuniary or if you're in conflict, then you go with the conflict side of it. Don't be taking any chances. It's could be pretty nasty out there, I think. That was my bottom line on it, Mr. Mayor. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm going to say that's absolutely correct, Bob, is that the always the safest course of action is to declare if you have any thought that there is a pecuniary interest. And what I certainly found interesting was pecuniary doesn't necessarily mean anything financial for yourself, which was kind of surprising because that's not the way it was explained to us 10 and 15 years ago. It was always if it affected yourself or a direct family member, but that doesn't seem to be the way it's being recognized now. And one of the examples was if you sit on a private club, such as the Lions Club or something like that, if in fact they are approaching council for funds to do a project, that you could be considered having a pecuniary interest. It wasn't deemed that you necessarily do, but it could be perceived by some people, and it's not a bad move to declare your conflict. The most important thing out of that entire part of it, though, is to remember that if you're going to declare a conflict, don't have any part of the discussion. Don't even discuss it with other members of the council outside of the council chamber, because at that point you're technically still influencing a decision or trying to influence it. The voice should come from the club itself, not from you as an individual, and that helps protect your position when you declare. But no, it was a long meeting, but it was a very interesting meeting. The one thing that I guess I got a little bit of concern out of Bob is when he talked about the fact that sometimes he has an opinion and he's had other commissioners that had a difference of opinion. It almost sounds like when you go to a lawyer, every lawyer is going to have a different opinion than the last one did, just so that they can book some time with you. So,
yeah, that caught me as well, Mr. Mayor. I guess it just shows there's a lot of gray out there, isn't there?
yeah, I think so. But it was a very good meeting. Now, and the reason that we actually held this now, and normally we do it at the start of every term, especially because there are new members that come on to the political scene at the county level. But we had an issue that arose a few months ago, and we really wanted to clarify it, which, and I think the commissioner did a good job of doing that part of it. The other advantage of bringing it up now is because the rules do seem to change from time to time, is it's giving the staff and the commissioner a good idea of what to really present to the new council next year. So he got some good feedback from us and from the staff of things that they consider important for the council members to know. And I do know when that presentation happens next year that all sitting municipal members in the county are invited to attend if they choose to. So it will be open to everybody when it gets put on next time around. So I think that's all I had from county, other than, as Bob and I were alluding to, we are into the budget discussions tomorrow, which I'm sure is going to be an interesting topic at the county and take up a bit of time. Are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars that anybody wishes to bring up at this point? Okay. Are there any requests by members? Okay. Any notice of motions at this time? And any announcements? Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
I just wanted to let council, and I did send an email out to you all today in terms of what's happening with the modified stage 2 that the province brought out yesterday afternoon, or yesterday morning, I guess it really was. Just wanted to let you know, and then for the public to be note as well, our recreation facilities will be effective at midnight tonight, be closed to the public. We've also taken the decision to close the office to public walk-ins. But anybody can still access services remotely through the telephone, by internet, by email, as well as booking appointments with staff. So just a quick update on terms of that.
Okay. And at some point in the next week or so, I will be getting together with the CAO and discussing the committees that Councillor Lau sat on and where they should be appointed to, whether they all go to the new member or whether they some of them get shifted around. I may also be contacting Councillor On because if there was anything that was specific to Brussels, may want your input on that at the time. So we may contact you at some point. I'm just not sure when, Zoe. So, all right, thank you. We are down to information items, Mr. CAO. You're muted.
Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, as council's probably aware, and I think it just passed this year, or it's effective as of January 1st this year. All the new Conservation Authority Act was passed, and now it's requiring that various conservation authorities prepare transition plans. And so they're providing, Maitland Valley is providing a copy of theirs. If council has any questions, comments, or concerns, I think Councillor McClellan's our representative on that, on the Conservation Authority Board. You can pass them on to him or to myself, and we'll make sure we provide any feedback to the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. That's that one. You've got some minutes there from the CHIP associated with, I know where I am here. Coalition of Huron Injury Prevention CHIP. That's there as well. And then you've got the last item on the correspondence is some background information provided by the Multi-Municipal Wind Turbine Working Group, just outlining some concerns and issues that have happened with wind turbine failures that have happened over the course of the past, I don't remember how long it was, what the example that he gave, but fairly recently. Again, I'd be happy to pass on any comments that council might have with respect to that as well.
Okay, I don't see any hands going up. So those were just the information items. And if there's nothing specific that anybody needs to deal with, is there any other business and members of council this evening? Seeing none, then we are down to bylaws. Can I get a motion that be it hereby resolved that leave be given to introduce bylaws 2, 3, 4, and 5 for 2022, bylaw 2 of 2022, establish fees and charges and repeal bylaw 11 of 2021, and bylaw 3 of 2022, authorize the execution of site plan control agreement 1788023 Ontario Inc. and Premier Concrete Inc. Bylaw 4 of 2022, authorize the borrowing of money to meet current expenditures. And bylaw 5 of 2022, confirm council proceedings. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, second by Councillor Dalton. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion that be it hereby resolved that bylaw number 2 of 2021, I think that's supposed to be 2022, a bylaw to establish fees and charges and repeal bylaw 11 of 2021 be given first, second, third, and final reading, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by the deputy mayor, second by Councillor McClellan. I did have a question on this. When I was going through the list, and I forget exactly what it said, it was something about finance charges or to me, it implied if we did, if you set up an automatic bank transfer draft or whatever, whether that was to pay your property tax or something, I thought it said it was something like a 3.5% charge. That seemed pretty high for a direct deposit or something along that line. Now, if it was a credit card payment, I can understand that because the credit card companies charge us money. I'm not sure if I can find it right off the top here, Paula. Go ahead.
Okay, through you, Mayor, to Council. The question of the 3.5% finance fee is for online credit card payments.
Okay.
And it's just passing the fee on to the user. It's a convenience fee is what they call it, actually.
Yes.
But
Okay, so and if it is a credit card, I certainly understand that end of it. So when if I know at one time council stepped in and we made a little correction one time when people did direct payments from their bank account to pay their property taxes. We don't charge anything for that then, do we? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that was the only question I think I had. Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Oh, sorry. There was one other one, Mr. CAO, or maybe Paula. The Freedom of Information requests. I understood almost all the charges. The only one that I had a problem with was, and if I understand correctly, it is our clerk that is responsible for finding that information or doing that work when it's a Freedom of Information request. Is that correct?
Partially correct. I mean, our clerk is our Freedom of Information officer, but
Okay.
any staff member could be doing work to gather data depending upon what the information request is about. So
Okay.
it could spread across all staff or multiple staff depending upon the type of request.
Okay, where my concern arose was that what the hourly rate was would not cover our clerk's pay, if I remember the pay grid properly. And I think that I don't have any problem with the Freedom of Information, and I understand it's something that a service we have to provide. But I don't think that it should be, part of it should be passed on to the general public. I think it should be a full user pay system. So shouldn't that rate be high enough that it covers the clerk's pay?
So the challenge is that is legislated amount. So the 750 is set in legislation. And yeah, probably should be updated. It's probably been that way, I would say, probably for probably 10 years almost now. But yeah, that's set and fixed. I did look at that, and actually Jessica and I had conversations about it because I did look at trying to want to increase it as well, but it's set right in the legislation.
Okay, well, can't do anything about that then. Okay, that's all I had. Any other questions, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Paula, please. Where does this rank us in the county as far as charges and fees go? I thought some of them were a little high and some were a little low. So are we median or top third, or what are we? Do you know offhand?
I certainly can speak to that, Deputy Mayor, through you, Mr. Mayor. When that last council meeting on the 21st, I did have a comparison there that showed what the fees for all these various items were relative to municipalities within Huron County and a couple others outside of Huron County. And I tried to set them to be somewhere in the middle, not necessarily the highest, certainly trying to pick sort of that benchmark location where these fees would be.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no other further questions, then all those in favor of the motion. And motion carries. Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder for that be it hereby resolved that bylaw number 3 for 2022, a bylaw authorized the execution of a site plan control agreement between 1788023 Ontario Inc. and Premier Concrete Inc. and the municipality of Huron East be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, second by Councillor Deal. All those in favor? And motion carries. And I need a mover and a seconder for motion that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 4 for 2022, a bylaw authorizing the borrowing of money to meet current expenditures of the council of the municipality of Huron East, be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Deal. That nope, I already did it. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. We do not have a closed session. And I need a mover and a seconder for the confirming bylaw. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Deal. That be it hereby resolved that bylaw 5 for 2022, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? Motion carries. And a motion for adjournment at 8:20, moved by Councillor On, second by Councillor Dalton. That the meeting do now adjourn until January 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks.